against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yo, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. We're your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. We cover breaking news, culture, and dramatic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Larry Fink, the CEO of Blackrock, the largest asset manager in the world. I think it's like last time I checked, $8 trillion assets under management. That is an absolutely astronomical number. Of course, you know, there is the whole Cointelegraph debacle that happened yesterday. They released a tweet that made the price pump like 10%. Larry Fink later had an interview on Fox Business. He was addressing it. Cointelegraph walked it back. A lot of people got liquidated. Did Cointelegraph have some insiders making some money? I don't know. But the most important part of the interview yesterday, I think, was when Larry Fink was admitting on legacy corporate media, which is why it's so significant, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the real deal. Bitcoin is better than fiat currencies. Bitcoin is superior. That's the signal right there. When you have the CEO, the leader of one of the largest asset manager in the world, you guys have to understand, every Fortune 500 company, the biggest shareholder, more than likely than not, is Vanguard and BlackRock. They essentially own the world. They really do. That's why they have so much influence. That's why they have so much political influence. So the fact that it's this guy saying that is a really, really big deal. Back in 2018, one of the coping narratives that we used when, you know, the price of Bitcoin was going down and whatnot was the institutions are coming. That was one of the narratives. The institutions are coming. They never came. But without a shadow of a doubt, the institutions are here and they have tremendous interest. And I think that's going to play a major part in the next Bitcoin cycle rally, whenever it takes place. Another thing that I wanted to mention also is that ARK Investments, Cathie Wood, she went on Natalie Brunell's podcast, which is a fabulous podcast called Coin Stories. And she was talking about her prediction, her price prediction of 2030, right? And there's three price predictions that she has. We'll break it down for you guys, and we'll break down the data, why she believes it's there. But one of those, also the other things that was mentioned, that was being talked about on Twitter, and the reason I want to mention this is because it's not coming from Simply Bitcoin, this conclusion. It's coming from other people, which is the idea that the SEC's lack of approval of a Bitcoin ETF is politically motivated. I think it's incredibly obvious by now. You know, we had the privilege of having Caitlin Long on the show. Caitlin Long was launching a Bitcoin and altcoin bank in the great state of Wyoming, and she was applying for a federal banking charter, and that would make her competitive with the other banks. And not only did the Federal Reserve slow walk her, usually the approval process takes about 2 weeks, but it took about a year or so. And it was eventually denied, that federal banking charter. And the denial came, coincidentally, of course, a couple weeks before the Federal Reserve themselves launched the Fed Now, which in my opinion is the introduction of the American version of the central bank digital currency. Right. So again, lots of coincidences. And this leads to a very important question. My last point before I bring up my awesome co-host and our guest for today, which is the people that are tasked to regulate Bitcoin are also people that work in government. So they're also people that have the most to lose if Bitcoin succeeds, because a lot of their power, a lot of their wealth comes from the power of the money printer. It's not a coincidence that Washington, D.C. is one of the richest in terms of the suburbs. Some of the richest suburbs on planet Earth are in Washington, D.C. Why is that? Right? It's not an economically productive place. There's not like companies, headquartered in Washington. It's the seat of government. Why is where the seat of government? Why is where the capital or the seat of government of one of the most powerful governments in the world? Why is it so wealthy? Why are the suburbs so wealthy? What's going on there? That doesn't make sense. The government doesn't really make anything. So anyways, this is a separation of money and state exciting show. We got a bunch of clips for you guys. I want to bring up my legendary co-host, always optimistic. He is smiling. He's giggling.
Well, you're cracking me up, bro. I like the rhetorical questions at the end.
Opti is himself today. How you doing, bro? Can you update us? Are you and Chrissy talking?
No, she blocked my number, unfortunately. I can't get close to the money printer. You know, I think I've said it before on the show, not the first time my number's been blocked, but hey, it is what it is. You know, I can't complain. Anyways, being a little more serious, Nico, I think one of the more interesting aspects of yesterday's scam week is that the Bitcoin price is still holding up pretty strong above 28K. So I think when you hear this video, I only heard a snippet of it, you'll start to realize why it is such an important take. And then on the last note about ARC and, you know, the spot Bitcoin ETFs, today is a day where the SEC will have to make a decision on 3 spot Bitcoin ETF deadlines. So I'm sure by the end of the day, we'll get some more news, whether we get a denial or an acceptance. I'm leaning more denial, but it's still an interesting day to be talking about this stuff because there will be some more news coming out later today. So love to see it. It's almost coincidences, or what do we always say? There's no coincidences.
There's no conspiracies, but there's no
coincidences. Exactly. Anyways,
it's not my line, but it's definitely a really good line. Guys, if you are enjoying the show, make sure to smash that like button. Help us break 100 likes within the first hour. If you're watching us on Rumble, we appreciate you guys. If you're watching us on Twitter, we appreciate you guys as well. All right, no more delay.
Let's bring on our guest.
I want to bring on Michael Jordan himself. We have him in the house. How you doing, Sir Ulric? Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for coming on the show.
You know, if you guys really want to compliment me, you would get me one of those represent hats that are allegedly artificially scarce. Hey, I saw Dell walking around with that at Pacific Bitcoin, and I just felt all. See, I'm leaving right now. That's not even. Was this on cue? I didn't even tell you this story, but whatever. It's nice to be here.
Good to have you, Ulric. I know. We had the conversation, and everyone in the chat's going to troll me all day. I will get you guys a hat.
We are working on the hats. We're going to get Sir Ulric a hat, the Michael Jordan of Bitcoin. This guy absolutely slays it on the court. But yeah, man, it's going to be a great show. What are you going to be talking about during the culture segment?
Oof. Well, what is that? The prize?
Yeah, that's the prize. Let me see.
Wow.
Let's make that full screen. We got the trophy. Oh, all right. Sir Ulric himself coming in for the win. All right.
Yeah. So for today's culture, Ulric hit me up about, I don't know, like a week or two ago, wanting to drop an article for us, and it is on Javier Milei, and he wanted to come on the show when we dropped it. So we coordinated so that when I released it, Ulric's on the show, and we had to make sure that we had this conversation before the presidential elections that are happening in Argentina at the end of the week. So we're doing it all today, guys. I am sure you guys are going to like this one. Ulric killed it on this article, and I'm excited to just dive into it and have this conversation and pick his brain a little more. So, culture on what's happening in Argentina. It's going to be a good one.
Ooh, so
and we talked about it yesterday.
Update on what happened yesterday. More context, more information. Wow, we did not plan this. It just happened coincidentally, huh? That's amazing.
I was watching you guys with Terrence, by the way, a great show yesterday, and I'm like, are you guys? Nico is stealing all my talking points. I mean, no, I'm just playing. I have a few tidbits to add. It was a great lead in. I think that as Bitcoin being an international standard, you know, these are the type of topics. You guys have been on Joe Rogan for a few episodes. You guys talked about Tucker Carlson for several episodes in the past. Javier Milei is a topic that should be repeated over and over again because it's impacting the world around us. Bitcoin is more than just the United States. It's a global movement.
Yeah, it's a global phenomenon, and I you know, and I'm sure you're gonna go much deeper into the weeds than we did yesterday, but the you know, the pushback from the administrative state, right? The unelected bureaucracy that benefits from the money printer, which is why they're using lawfare, which is why, you know, they're saying, oh, we're going to get rid of income taxes all of a sudden, right? It's like that what you're seeing is the bureaucracy fighting to maintain that privilege of being able to create money for free at the expense of everyone else. That's what you're seeing. It's like it's an immune response, right? But yeah, what's happening in Argentina is fascinating. I truly believe that this is the beginning of a worldwide movement, the likes of which the world has never seen before. I think we're heading into uncharted territory. We've been in times where the money breaks before. This has happened many times throughout human history. What is different this time is the internet. The internet has given us the ability to communicate instantaneously over vast distances, peer to peer, right? The rise of social media. And then Bitcoin, which allows people to choose their money, the money that they want to use. And that kind of creates competition, so to speak, right? And this was all predicted back in the 90s in the book, The Sovereign Individual. So yeah, I agree. This is a worldwide phenomenon. What's happening? So many pieces are happening. But the way that we say it in the beginning of so many moving pieces, but the way that we say it in the beginning of the show, this is the separation of money and state. This is what we're living through. This is what is happening. This is our moment in time. And you got to ask yourself as an individual, what side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side of fiat, the side of CBDCs, the side of slavery, control, central bank digital currencies, the party of green? Or do you want to be on the party of orange, the party of Bitcoin, the party of peace, Bitcoin, prosperity, all of that good stuff? You got to decide. Anyways, everybody, let's get to the numbers.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. All right, everybody. I also made it super easy for you guys. Like always, you can scan the QR code on your screen. It will take you directly to the Stamp Seed website where you can buy yourself a Stamp Seed titanium seed storage kit. Don't store your seed on paper. Don't put yourself in a position where you have to explain to your grandchildren why you lost all your Bitcoin because you stored your seed on paper. Store it on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Promo code SIMPLY for 15% off. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $28,540. Sats per dollar, 3,504. Block height, 812,633. Blocks to halving, 27,367. Halving estimate, April 21st, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 5,338 Bitcoin. Capacity value, 152 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation, 1.74%. The market capitalization of Bitcoin, $557 billion with the B. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 4.32%. In the grand scheme of things, Bitcoin is still a baby, but my favorite number out of all this, I tell you guys this every day, is the realized monetary inflation. This is continuing to take fiat currencies to absolute school, even if they get it back to the 2%, which is going to be very, very difficult, still lower. And the halving is going to ensure, the halvings are going to ensure that this number is going to go down forever. Anyways, what I want to talk about today is the debacle that happened yesterday. It was an absolute clusterfuck. If you guys, for whatever reason, were unplugged from the internet. Oh, I clicked on an ad that automatically played. I apologize. Back to this.
We're live, folks.
Aren't live shows great? Okay, so if you were hiding under a rock or you were unplugged from the Matrix yesterday, Cointelegraph tweeted very early in the morning. This is an account that has 1 million followers on Twitter, so it's extremely influential, very, very big reach. they said, hey guys, guess what? The Blackrock spot Bitcoin ETF was approved. That made the price of Bitcoin jump up from I think it was 27K, 27.5 or something. It jumped all the way up to 30. It touched 30. And then, the cracks started to show. It wasn't confirmed. The Fox business reporter that had a interview with Larry Fink himself confirmed from BlackRock that wasn't true, which is very strange. Cointelegraph then went on to not only change the tweet, so they initially tweeted it out like as if it was a matter of fact. Then they edited the tweet and put in parentheses reportedly, and then they deleted the tweet altogether. And then they issued an apology. We're going to read you guys the apology today. But let's just say in that type of situation, if you have prior knowledge to what's about to happen to that tweet going out, you could have made yourself a lot of money. So anyways, goes on to say, here's the headline: BlackRock CEO Fink weighs in on Bitcoin ETF rumor. It goes on to say, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink on Monday weighed in on the firm's pending Bitcoin exchange traded fund application following a wild rumor after Cointelegraph reported it has been approved by the SEC. The news outlet retracted the story shortly after publication. Quote, I can't talk about the specifics of anything. I think it's just another example of the pent-up interest in crypto. We are hearing from clients around the world about the need for crypto, Fink said Monday afternoon during an appearance on the Claman Countdown, while declining to comment on the status of the application. So a couple things to pay attention to. He does say crypto, but in reality is that they're applying for a Bitcoin spot Bitcoin ETF, a spot Bitcoin ETF. They're not applying for a crypto ETF. So, it's Bitcoin, not crypto, Larry. Anyways, moving on. Here's a short clip. I think it was our friends over at Swan that originally clipped this out. And Larry said some very interesting things, and we'll talk about it in a second. Let's check out the video.
This rally is way beyond the rumor. I think the rally today is about a flight to quality with all the issues around the Israeli war now, global terrorism. And I think there's more people running into a flight to quality, whether that is in treasuries, gold, or crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality. This rally is way beyond.
So what he said is extremely significant, right? Flight to quality. Then what is more significant, because I know a lot of people are bummed out. It's wait, he said treasuries and gold. Do you understand what he just said, though? Do you understand what he just said? He put Bitcoin on the same level as U.S. treasuries and gold. This is the CEO of the largest asset manager in the world. He put Bitcoin, because he says crypto, but they're not filing for a crypto spot ETF. They're filing for a Bitcoin ETF, spot Bitcoin ETF. So he put it on the same level as those things. Mind you, if Bitcoin hits the market cap of gold, that is $500,000 per Bitcoin, right? So just to give you guys an idea of how early we are and the fucking excuse my language, absolute tsunami that is coming into this thing. Once the spot Bitcoin, remember, there was 5 things that Michael Saylor said needed to happen in order for Bitcoin to reach $5 million per coin. He said that large banks needed to have the ability to custody Bitcoin. Multiple banks have already applied for licenses to do just that worldwide. Second thing, he said that the FASB rule, the accounting rules for public companies, needed to change. That happened a couple of weeks ago. The FASB rules changed. I think the starting date is 2025. So that not only do they have to report the gains, but they could also report the losses, which makes it a lot easier and a lot more feasible from an accounting perspective. And then the third thing that he said needed to happen for Bitcoin to hit $5 million is the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF. So what is holding down? What is holding up Gary Gensler? I think what's holding up Gary Gensler is I think that once this gets approved, this is going to open the floodgates, and it's going to prove to the world that holding Bitcoin as an alternative to fiat currencies and US treasuries is a much better idea. And I truly believe that is the political motivation behind delaying the spot Bitcoin ETF approval. Anyways, moving on to the absolute fucking disaster this was yesterday. Who made that money at Cointelegraph? I want to know. So this is the official apology. We apologize for a tweet that led to the dissemination of an inaccurate information regarding the Blackrock Bitcoin ETF. An internal investigation is currently underway. We are committed to transparency, and we will share the findings of the investigation with the public. So let's kind of dig into what that was. So clarification on sharing false spot Bitcoin ETF news. Goes on to say, dear Cointelegraph readers, we are incredibly grateful for the support, blah, 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 blah. So just thank you for everything, 10 years, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on to say, earlier today, during routine coverage, Cointelegraph's social media team posted a message on X without prior editorial approval, stating that the United States Securities Exchange and Commission, the SEC has approved BlackRock's iShares Spot Bitcoin Exchange Traded Fund, or ETF. This was false, the result of misinformation. The news originated from an unconfirmed screenshot posted by an X user who claimed it was from the Bloomberg terminal. Cointelegraph did not ultimately publish an article with this incorrect information, but we deeply regret posting this in error on X and the impact it has caused. An internal investigation revealed that our standard procedure for posting breaking news on social media, wherein sources are required to be verified before posting to social media, was not followed. And it goes on to say the timeline of events is as far as, and I'm assuming that this is like screenshots from their Telegram group. Looks like everyone's using Telegram, which is funny. And then like this is the culprit, the person where they got the information from. So it looks like Cointelegraph is getting their information from Telegram groups. That's not a good thing. It looks like they deleted their Telegram account. So, I mean, very convenient. That's what I'm going to say. Very fucking convenient. Very convenient that, the culprit just disappeared into that good night, never to be seen again. And no one got fired. They just didn't follow the standard procedures. Let's just not forget about the millions of dollars of liquidations, not to mention the fact that, again, if anyone had prior knowledge to this, they could have made a lot of money, not only to the upside, but also to the downside. Anyways, Michael Jordan, what do you think about this, bro? Like, what the fuck is going on? There's never a dull moment in Bitcoin. Like, it's either Javier Milei getting sabotaged, hoax spot Bitcoin ETF, Elizabeth Warren attack. Like, this is a crazy, crazy world we live in these days. Anyways, what are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, there's so many facets here. I would say the first thing is, all news is good for Bitcoin. There hasn't been a single thing that has brought Bitcoin down from its every 4 years. It's always better than it was 4 years ago. And we're so used to talking about things year over year, 6-month gains. And Bitcoin is truly while it's in its price discovery phase, it goes through these long, I'm a true believer of the cycles. They haven't proven wrong yet. And this kind of stuff, minutia, a random message on Telegram, there's so much potential energy being built up for people to start pouring their dirty fiat into this new monetary network, that any news is going to catapult. So it goes up, 10% on a rumor on Telegram. Imagine what happens when that rumor becomes reality. You're looking at those 20% candles in one day. we're just beginning to get into what I believe is going to be a memorable bull market, and all those people that got in 2021, if you're still holding, you're going to be in good shape. Additionally, when it comes down to the scams and the drama that happens with Wall Street, I saw one guy XX say, this kind of stuff is happening all the time. It's just not broadcast on such a large scale like we talk about with the Bitcoin ETF. So these scams, these rug pulls happen continually, but it just goes to show how important Bitcoin is to the financial world in general, with this much attention to essentially another rug pull on the scam we call Wall Street.
100%. 100%. I agree with that statement. Opti, what's your take on all this, brother? Do you think it was Chrissy sending telegrams?
Well, my initial thought is, guys, like, you don't short Bitcoin. This is like, I don't know. It's immoral to short Bitcoin. I'll dive down that way. I'll be hyperbolic there, but hey, we saw what I think it was over $100 million in shorts liquidated from a tweet. Just like classic Bitcoin things that happened yesterday, just super hilarious in my opinion. Seeing a classic scam wick that we haven't seen in years, it feels kind of good. I'm not gonna lie, like it felt pretty good to see a scam wick wake up to some crazy frothy movements in the market, just considering we've been demoralized for the last 2 years of just, it's been a rough bear market. But I think too, something Ulric said is just, it just goes to show how frothy the market is going, and that we will be going into a very epic bull market, in my opinion. I've been saying this for a while. I'm trying not to get too bullish in regards to what this bull market will entail, because we all got PTSD from the last little pump up to 69K, and now we're trying to be conservative here. But I don't know, something, my oracles are telling me that we are going to be pumping pretty hard going into 2025, and you just love to see it. I'm kind of leaning on the side that we will be very volatile to the upside, and everyone is underestimating how huge this bull run will actually be once that FOMO kicks in. Anyways, I want to go back to the Larry Fink video, because I find it very hilarious that Larry Fink, and I forget how long the Larry Fink saga has been, but just to give some context, remember Larry Fink started out a few years ago as saying, Bitcoin is just for money launderers, and now he's on television telling people, I don't think it's just because of a scam wig. I don't think it was just because of a fake news tweet. It's because people are going towards the quality asset and holding Bitcoin akin to some of the best assets, at least the risk off assets that people should be holding in traditional finance. So if this is true, and of course, as Bitcoiners, we know this is true. This is our thesis, that Bitcoin is the quality asset. Bitcoin is the risk off asset. And if you think in terms of Bitcoin being the best money, then we're seeing Gresham's law also play out. And we are seeing that flight to quality. And it's just beautiful to see. And of course, the Bitcoin message is getting spread further and further and further into the highest echelons of traditional finance. And it's only a matter of time until everyone wakes up to what we believe in. We're no longer just crazy conspiracy theorists on the internet. We're no longer just, what do they call us? Psychopath, illiterate Bitcoiners, all that other stuff they called us. But it just goes to show how far we've come. Larry Fink, love him or hate him, he knows, in my opinion, he knows what he's doing in regards to holding money. And now he's starting to say what we've been saying for a long time, saying the quiet part out loud, that Bitcoin is that quality asset, that people are moving into Bitcoin. And this is uncontentious. If you go to every other thing going around the world, like the El Salvador, like what we're seeing in Argentina, the fact that all these fiat currencies are hyperinflating, the fact that it looks like the traditional financial world and Wall Street and all that are showing cracks in their system, it just goes to show that people are looking for alternatives. And of course, Bitcoin is that alternative. And then the last thing, it's Bitcoin, not crypto. But as everyone's saying in the chat, I don't think Larry Fink can say Bitcoin directly. He's got a spot ETF going on. I'm sure there's some red tape that he is working through. But anytime you hear someone on television say Bitcoin, or rather say crypto, they are always talking about Bitcoin. And when they actually say Bitcoin, it's usually in a negative sense. So just, read between the lines. We all know the playbook, guys. They're going to flood Bitcoin. They're going to stack their bags. And then once it's ready to go, They're going to embrace Bitcoin, and rocket ships get on board. So here we are, guys. This bull run is going to be marvelous. And right now is the time to just get your ducks in order, guys. If you have not been here, kind of like what Ulric said, if you've been stacking in 2020, 2021, you kind of saw a little glimpse of a bull run. Welcome to what a bull run feels like. You guys thought I was trolling when I said it gets absolutely crazy. This is why it's that quiet time before the storm. It's because any little news and the price starts to run. And that just goes to show there's so much capital on the side. All it really is going to take is for one just big news story, for one indicator for the price to really start running. And once it runs, guys, I am convinced that we are never going to get back down here. And we're just waiting for the hot or not tweets of, we're never going to get under 30K. We're never going to get 20K. We're never going to get 40K. So once the price starts running, guys, it really starts to melt faces. And if you're not prepared for it, you may get blindsided. And we got a glimpse of it yesterday, and an hour off a fake news story. Just wait until there's actually a legitimate news story and all the capital starts to find its way into Bitcoin. It's going to be a crazy, crazy bull run. Get your ducks in order today.
100%. Opt out, choose Bitcoin. All right, guys, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Bitcoin 2024 conference. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin conference on planet Earth. It's not going to be in Miami this year. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee, July 25th through the 27th, 2024, the year of the halving. You don't want to miss it. You can get yourself a GA ticket for only $349, an industry pass for $849. If you're trying to get a job in the industry or see your favorite speakers walking around the floors in a pretty chill day, you want to get the industry pass because that gives you access to industry day. It's a lot chiller that day. That's where, Michael Saylor usually does his rounds on that day. Around the floor. And then, of course, if you're a whale, you can get yourself a whale pass that will give you access to premium seating and the VIP area backstage, which is pretty badass. So you can get that for $4,749. Definitely don't want to miss the largest Bitcoin conference on planet Earth, Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville, Tennessee. Promo code SIMPLY to get 10% off your already discounted tickets. All right, everybody, let's hit the news.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. All right, everybody, I made it super easy for you guys. Like always, you can scan the QR code on your screen right now. It'll take you directly to the Foundation Devices website where you can get yourself a Passport hardware wallet. It is one of the nicest hardware wallets on the market right now. It's premium feel. It's super easy to use. It's completely open source. You definitely want to get yourself one. Not your keys, not your Bitcoin. Scan the QR on your screen right now, and it will take you directly to the website. All right, everybody. So first of all, shout out to Natalie's podcast, Coin Stories. Check out the episode that she did with Cathie Wood. You can hear the entire thing. I highly recommend it. I saw the entire thing. It was really good. And Natalie's an extremely talented host. So that being said, here's a clip from that podcast. And Cathie Wood said something very interesting, which is something that kind of, I've heard this story before. Anyways, I'll play you guys a clip and then we'll comment on it.
We know the research people at the SEC. And they know what they're talking about. They are really good. We've met the head of FinHub now, who reports directly to Chairman Gensler. And for me, the disconnect is they know so much and they are so good that I believe this was much more Gary Gensler standing in the way. I don't know for sure because they could never say something like that. I just know from how we have discussed Bitcoin with them that they really understand it and they understand its merits. Most important. So this is Gary Gensler. We know.
So, okay. So a couple things, right? You got to connect the dots is what we do on Simply Bitcoin, right? They really understand Bitcoin. They really understand Bitcoin. They really understand Bitcoin and they're not approving Bitcoin, right? Mind you, a couple months ago, the White House released the Presidential Economic Report. They dedicated 20 entire pages making the case as to why a central bank is necessary, why you need a state for money, why you need a CBDC, and why Bitcoin is bad. Coincidentally, either about a month or two after, Caitlin Long's bank was denied the federal banking charter, making her bank competitive with other banks in the US. And coincidentally, at the same time, the FedNow, which is the introduction of the American CBDC, was launched. Last year, late 2022, the U.S. Treasury, in response to an executive order by the Biden administration, released a paper called The Future of Money and Payments. In that paper, The Future of Money and Payments, they did not mention Bitcoin. They mentioned stablecoins, they mentioned payment platforms, and they mentioned central bank digital currencies. They did not mention Bitcoin. So I think Kathy buried the lead there, so to speak. They completely understand it. And because they completely understand it, perhaps that's the reason that it hasn't been approved. I really believe at this point, with everything going on, the great work from Nick Carter writing that piece, Operation Choke Point 2.0, laid it out methodically, all the different things, all the adversarial positions and all the adversarial moves that the current administration has taken against Bitcoin. Has really pointed out, they really don't like this thing. And the fact that they understand it tells me why they don't like this thing, because Bitcoin, what it fundamentally proves is that not only can you have a money without a central bank, not only can you have money without a government, but you can have a money without a government that's better than government money itself. And I think that once you open Pandora's box, that is a one-way door. I have never met someone in my life that has transitioned to a Bitcoin standard and said, you know what? This sucks. I'm going back to a fiat standard. I've never met somebody that has gone onto a Bitcoin standard, says, let me go back to a fiat standard. I was sending payments, I think it was like yesterday or the day before, for one of my businesses. And it was so difficult to send, multiple people money, because every time, depending on the app, there was always this artificial limit, artificial block that they put onto you. And if you think about it, like you break it down to a very fundamental level, right? It's your money. You worked for it. You put your time, your energy into like literally accumulating this thing. But the bank and the government are telling you, you can't send over a certain amount because we believe that is what's good for you. And if you do want to send over a higher amount, you have to pay like what? What's the $30 wire fee? How long does it take? Right? An ACH, takes at least 5 to 7 days because the transfer is immediate, but you can roll it back. So usually there's between a 5 to 7 day hold. So like clearly, there's a better system. It exists. And I think that this lack of approval, this delay of a spot Bitcoin ETF at this time You can't say this with 100% certainty, but with everything that I've seen, the things that I've seen in Argentina, the things that I've seen in El Salvador, the IMF's reaction not only to Argentina when they gave them the bailout, but they gave them a condition that you can't, you have to de-incentivize the adoption of Bitcoin. And then the IMF's reaction to El Salvador, then the hostility from the current administration. And then not to mention you have political candidates that are going out like Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, RFK Jr. saying, I'll protect your right to self-custody. What they're doing is wrong. They're trying to launch a CBDC. At what point can you get to and say, listen, guys, I'm not a fucking conspiracy theorist. There's so much evidence that points to the fact that they just don't like this thing because it takes away their privilege of being able to create money for free that everyone else has to work for. And that is how they bankroll their entire thing, right? Like, how can you not get to that conclusion? It is common sense. I think, Opti, we've given them so much benefit of the doubt over the last year. I felt guilty even claiming there's no way that they're doing this so maliciously. And then Caitlin Long came on and she says, no, the order came directly from the White House. And then you see Kathy Wood, she's asking a rhetorical question. I know that she thinks what we think, but she's like, I don't understand it. They totally get it. They still don't agree with it. It comes straight from Gensler. At what point can you say that they're not approving the Blackrock spot ETF for political reasons? At what point can you not say that? Because at this point, in my opinion, and in the opinion of other Bitcoiners, and in the opinion of non-Bitcoiners as well, I think this is extremely politically motivated for the reasons I mentioned. Anyways, Sir Ulric, what are your thoughts on this, bro? Am I seeing shit that's not there, dude? Because this is driving me crazy. Because they're still playing the game of no. We're still trying to check all the boxes. We're trying to make sure that there's no manipulation or anything nefarious or anything like that. I'm calling bullshit. I don't believe it anymore.
I think you're right. I think that, but at the same time, this is their backyard. The ETF is the fiat system's backyard. They get to work with the tools that they're given to work out their incentives. And you really can't blame them. So if there's downward pressure on the market, if there's delaying pressure on the market, knowing that floodgates will open into Bitcoin ETFs and not into some other type of financial vehicle, they're going to use time as much as they can as their ally. But the problem is, and Durgigi said this years ago, a Bitcoin is time. So when you think about the halving, the imminent halving, in my opinion, I don't care what the interest rates are. I don't care what ETFs are coming down the pipe. I don't care what country is banning mining. The halving is proven to work against all different types of economic forces, and it pushes Bitcoin up and to the right. And so they can only delay it so much before they miss out. The fiat world, misses out on their short-term dollar gains, because that's what they'll do. They're looking for dollar gains to arbitrage whatever is happening in Bitcoin. Kathy Wood says they understand Bitcoin, then they see the metrics, they see the charts that the halving is highly correlated with a dollar upward movement against Bitcoin. So in my opinion, they're going to have to pull the trigger at some point for their own sake, or they'll miss out on their own opportunities, which is April 21. You called it right there. It's going to be somewhere. The halving's going to be around there. A few months later, we're going to start to see dollar action with or without the big institutional funding.
Yeah, 100%. Opti, I mean, I know you're going to go more hardcore on this than I am. So I'm just warning everybody, Sir Ulric and I, we're velvet gloves, like, hey man, let's give them. Let's maybe they're just uninformed, and maybe they're just maybe they're just.
I'm saving mine
nice.
for the culture. I'm saving mine for the culture.
Yeah, there we go.
But,
All right.
but
Nico,
Opti,
you already know me.
I'm gonna make you full screen.
This is great PSA, great context, because you already know I am doubling down on this, and it's something that I picked up very recently. It's the meme, never underestimate your enemy. And whether we're in a kinetic war or not, or just an information war, like, they are actively working against Bitcoin. And in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, you don't have to believe me. It's not a representation of Simply Bitcoin. GG is compromised, in my opinion. He taught a class at MIT about Bitcoin and blockchain. He's not stupid, but he can play stupid very well.
Wait, GG as in
Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not our GG. Not our
GG. Yeah, Gary Gensler. Sorry. I forgot about GG. That was just initials, GG. Gary Gensler knows what he's doing, in my opinion. Like, the question that we should be asking ourselves is, who is Gary Gensler working for? Like, what are his incentives, and who is the person behind the scenes really pulling the purse strings? Because, like, he knows what he's talking about. I've heard him talk about Bitcoin in the past. I've heard him say that Bitcoin is a superior asset. It's decentralized. It's uncontrollable. It's a commodity. So there should be a spot Bitcoin ETF. It should have been rolled out earlier than later. But of course, they are trying to kick the can down the road as long as possible. And again, the question is, who is he playing cover for? In my opinion, it's starting to become clear that it is the big bank interests, because they know what we know, guys. If Bitcoin is proliferated, if Bitcoin takes over, if Bitcoin is synonymous with digital internet money, then they are actively losing control. And all they have is the monopoly on truth. All they have is basically gaslighting the average person out there. They're thinking that they are the trustworthy ones. So I no longer am naive and believe that the unproductive class doesn't understand Bitcoin. They absolutely do. But it will cost them too much to directly attack Bitcoin. It will trigger people to wonder why they should embrace Bitcoin, because I thought Bitcoin was nothing. I thought Bitcoin was useless. And now we have, the biggest institutions in the world, the biggest government in the world attacking Bitcoin like it is something of extreme value. And again, we know the mechanisms that are going on here, guys. It's all about the money. It's always been about the money. Why is the U.S. in the position it is right now? Is because it is the world reserve asset, and they have the money printer to continue to print money towards things that you would probably disagree with. So what are they going to do? They're going to play cover with the institutions so that Bitcoin doesn't become synonymous with freedom, and they will do everything in their power before they actively attack Bitcoin directly. Because again, if there's a head-on attack with Bitcoin, then it just goes to show what we keep talking about here. And I say it all the time, somewhat jokingly, that if a government bans Bitcoin, a government attacks Bitcoin, it just goes to show why you need a censorship-resistant, debasement-proof money. This is where we are right now. So, of course, they have not approved a spot Bitcoin ETF yet, because they need to get their ducks in a row. And further, they need to pack their bags. They're not dumb. They want to make profits just like everyone else. And so they're going to stack Bitcoin. They're going to try to delay this as much as possible. But again, they can only delay it for so long. So I'm just sitting here like I'm no longer, I would say, naive about it. I'm no longer giving them the benefit of the doubt. I know Nico always tells me to give them the benefit of the doubt, because I really do believe in the meme of what you can attribute to malice, you can just attribute to stupidity. But now we have more and more proof that they understand exactly what is going on. So if that is the case, then you got to ask yourself, what is their incentives? They are part of the beast. They are part of the great Leviathan. So of course they're going to play cover for their business interests, which is the big banks. They're the lobbies. They're the ones that are paying their bills. They're the ones that made them into multimillionaires. So of course they're not going to just let Bitcoin run. They're not going to unleash a bull market on them unless their bags are packed. So they're afraid, and they want to subvert Bitcoin. They want to stop the adoption of Bitcoin, because we all know, at least this is what I always say, the Bitcoin price is a real-time metric of people's understanding of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin starts to rip and more people start to FOMO, and more of the population starts to hold a little bit of Bitcoin, well, then it's going to be harder for them to attack Bitcoin. It's going to be harder for them to roll out regulations that stop the adoption of Bitcoin. It's going to be harder for them to do what they did in UK, or what Nico just covered yesterday of, do a litmus test so that you're smart enough to buy Bitcoin. Like, what the hell is going on? Anyways, it's all to cover for big bank interest. It's the same game over and over and over again.
100%. 100%. Opti completely unleashed. You know, I have to velvet glove it.
Dude, I am the crazy one here. I'm the conspiracy theorist. I am the tinfoil hat wearer here.
But
I am the voice of the average conspiracy anon.
It's sure, you know what, like, to, you know, look, guys, we've given them all, like, you know, all shadow of a doubt with, like, we've given that. We played that game for at least a year. We were just like, there's no way, you know, maybe they just don't know. Like, and then you have Kathy Wood literally saying, like, yeah. They knew, like, they know exactly what Bitcoin is. And then that leads you to ask questions. So if they know exactly what Bitcoin is, what's truly the motivation? Anyways, guys, before we move on to the culture, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Kaboom Rex. They are the best place to buy Bitcoin miners. That's where you're going to get the top deals, the best prices, repair and hosting services, all in one place. Get started with the link below. You can buy mining equipment. You could sell mining equipment. If you have any questions or doubts, they even have the Kaboom Racks firmware. Gain more control over your ASIC. If you have any questions, doubts, or concerns, you could always hit up the Kaboom Racks guys. It's the most trusted place to buy, sell, and host mining equipment. Check out their racks, Kaboom Racks. All right, everybody, let's get on to the culture and talk about Sir Ulric's article. Let's check it out.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today.
All right, so super excited for this one, guys. We coordinated this perfectly so that we can get Ulric on the show as we drop the article for you guys and before the presidential elections in Argentina this weekend. So without going over this article, I'm just going to do the headline in the first sentence so that Ulric can get the stage and he can go where he wants to go and drop some bombs on you guys. So this article here is on our Substack, simplybitcoin.substack.com, and it's Hyperinflation to Hope, Javier Milei's Vision for Argentina. And I just want to read the first sentence here, Ulric, because it's a great context for the rest of the article. With each passing block, we inch closer to hyper-Bitcoinization, a state of existence where the world recognizes Bitcoin as the arc or apex monetary system. Absolutely love it, Ulric. Great read. So where do you want to take this? What's top of mind for you here?
But by the way, before we get into that, I want to give the headline of the article for our audio listeners is called Hyperinflation to Hope, Javier Milei's Vision for Argentina.
Yeah, right on, guys. Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on again. You know, this piece was important to me because it allows me, you know, Terrence said something yesterday. It's like you write about what you want, where you want to go, what you want to learn about. And of course, he wrote about Bitcoin, even though he probably knew less about Bitcoin than he did acting or real estate. A great episode you guys had yesterday. And so in the same vein, I wrote about Javier Milei because I wanted to know more about global economics, global international politics, what central banking does to other countries besides ourselves. And as we always say this, you know, the dollar is generally, you know, we call the dollar a shitcoin. We call the dollar, you know, toxic for people. But relatively speaking to the other currencies out there, whatever peso you want, a ruble, a yuan, it's relatively stable. It's solid. It's strong, and you can tell that because who runs the world, where all the military is going, who gets to dictate who gets to spend what, and so generally speaking, going back to the article I'm looking at, or going back to the focus of the article, Javier Milei is like this libertarian candidate who was always working within the political hierarchy of Argentina, and now all of a sudden he has this movement where he's the leading candidate to be the next president, and this is coming to a shock to mainstream people, mainstream narratives, mainstream media sources, and they're looking to throw all different types of things at him. And you guys use the term lawfare. You guys talked about the inflation. The taxation cancellation across the country 2 months before the election. So ironic that he was actually one of the people, or he on his platform, he said, we're going to reduce 90% of all taxation on all people. So when you think about all taxation, sales tax, income tax, everything, 90% of what you're used to paying taxes on is out the window. His goal is to be a minarchist. And I think that's a camp that I find myself in, which will basically, except for police, courts, military, we expect private society, private industry, natural order to rule society. And so how does he intend to do that? Well, the only true way to do that is to eliminate the ability for governments, for near government entities, major corporations, large agencies, you have to take away their ability to make things happen without value added into society. And that means you have to demonetize, you have to castrate essentially central banking, because as long as there's a central bank, you guys use it. I'm loving that I can resource your guys' episode from yesterday. But with Terrence's analogy about the pizza, and how the government comes in and makes smaller the whole pizza is always one pizza no matter what. But but the government can come in and take a knife and cut those slices up. They're doing that and saving themselves the true value of their slice while giving you the numerical value of your slice. You get one slice, but they get that 25% of the calories. And so if you take away the central bank, what are they left with? What are they left with? Well, they're left with some other type of money. But they aren't able to enact their own, the government, the elite, they can't enact their own incentives without providing work, without providing value to the economy. And so it's like, I can go on and on about all the different things that he was suggesting, whether it talks about economics, whether it talks about whether it's talking about schooling, whether it's talking about open trade agreements, taking away all the tariffs, the taxations that essentially infringe on open and free value creating in society. But I would say that it's better to read the article, and we can have more of a conversation about it. We can talk about other questions, Opti. But yeah, I just think that where he's leading Argentina is a place that centralized authorities, IMF, the United States, is deathly scared about, because they, as a G20 nation, they're going to establish an example of what happens when you don't need a government currency to exist. And when they lose their Argentinian peso, the dollar comes into the nation, Bitcoin comes into the nation. He was talking about having a basket of currencies to have their economy. The euro comes into the nation. Everyone's going to look at each one of those currencies for the first time ever, essentially, and they're going to say, what benefit do I have of holding this unit versus that unit versus that unit? Bitcoin is going to be able to compete as freely as it's ever been in an economy when it comes down to a medium of exchange. And over time, I'm almost certain that Bitcoin is going to win that open and free competition. We've had fascism when it comes down to how people spend, save, and utilize money in the past. There's always been these inhibitors, laws. People go to jail in Nigeria if you're found holding a dollar bill in your pocket. These are the kind of things that enable Bitcoin to win. And it's important to know that Bitcoin doesn't need laws to protect it. People need laws to protect them from criminals. And the greatest criminals we have right now are central bankers, because they're the ones that are enabled to steal without any repercussion. And they're lawful thieves. And that's the worst. That's the worst kind of them all. So I'll stop for a minute. We can talk back and forth.
Dude, first of all, Ulric, by the way, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, if you want to check out the article, it is linked in the video description. Highly, highly recommend it. And you said something that really struck a chord, right? Which is when people are going to get exposure to alternatives, and those alternatives are just better, it starts to make you question, why am I being forced to use a money that steals from me? And remember, that question is being forced upon the Argentine population out of necessity. Because when you're dealing with 100% inflation, you have to ask the question, what is money? Because it's a matter of life and death. It's a matter of whether I can or I cannot put food on the table for my family. But this question of what is money is going to be a question that everyone worldwide is going to eventually ask. Why? What is money? Why are we being forced via legal tender laws to use a money that is designed to decrease in purchasing power over time? Imagine if you were forced to use a shitcoin at the point of a gun under the threat of violence. That is what governments are doing with fiat currencies. They're forcing you to use money that is devaluing your work, your energy, and your time. And that is the reality. That is what inflation is. And if you really want to know, because look, they do not have an explanation for inflation. The IMF released a video the other day. We played it for you guys. The production quality was through the roof. They got, this lady. She was extremely well spoken. I think it was in a reaction to Opti, doing Simply Bitcoin. Chrissy's like, we got to get someone on there and just rebuke that. But they blamed the pandemic. They blamed people asking for more money. They blamed the supply. It's like they blamed everything and anything but the money printing for the cause of inflation. They are the reason. The government spending money they don't have is the reason that the currency is debasing, right? And what governments are supposed to be for, and I think, Ulric, you really I think this article really highlights, is governments are supposed to be by the people, for the people. But what fiat currencies has enabled is that governments are truly for the government, by the government. If we do not separate money from state, politicians will never be incentivized to do good by their constituents, by the people that they're supposed to be representing. They are more concerned with their privilege. The privilege of being able to create money for free that everyone else has to work for. Anyways, Opti, there was a couple interesting charts and graphics in that article that I kind of want to just review and just pick Sir Ulric's mind on. Right, here's the USD and Argentine peso exchange rate. Dude, it's holy cow, man.
These numbers here, and the inflation, it's absolutely ridiculous. But Ulric, you take the floor.
The funny thing about this is that I'm an engineer by trade. I didn't even want to try to figure out the final value of what this is. I looked at the value on Wikipedia. I think they tried to put the final product after many multiplying. And I was like, I don't believe it. I tried to verify it. I'm like, I think my math is off. It just goes to show how, and this is inflation against the US dollar. So that's assuming the US dollar is stable and solid as a rock, essentially treating the US dollar as Bitcoin. And so when you scroll down a little bit, that was there's two charts. So that one is, I forget if that's the long term. Oh no, I thought I had two charts up there, but essentially what you have is that one right there talks about the inflation that we've just seen since central banking has come into the United States Federal Reserve, and essentially 3,000. I think someone in Bitcoin Twitter had a tweet about, hey, we finally reached 3,000% inflation. Woohoo! It was right around the time I wrote this. This one is 29.88 or something. But when you think about that, the Argentinian peso has inflated hundreds of times against a currency that is already inflated 3,000 times. And we complain about our inflation, gas wasn't what it used to be. And when you think about that, for potentially 4 times in someone's life, that your money that you save, that you work hard, you're just an honest, wage earner, and that you go maybe 4 times in your life that the central bank, the government comes back and says, we're going to give you a new unit of currency for which to use, and it's going to take a large chunk of the buying power out of your pocket. But trust us, bro, you're going to be good. And then 8 years later, we're going to do it again. And then 20 years later, we're going to do it again. It's not surprising that the person that Javier Milei is has resulted in has come about in Argentina. And we talk about, good times create, soft people create, hard times create that whole cycle. Argentina has experienced the hardest economic times, relatively speaking. There's a lot of other countries like that, but amongst the hardest of economic times for the wage earners, for the honest people. You can't say the same for the political class, for the elite class, but for the the regular working people, they've experienced the hardest times. The result is Javier Milei. And what do you see? Shout out to Rustin for his great video that inspired a lot of my writing. But it's like you see him, hitting a central bank with pinata, blindfolded. You see him cussing liberals out and leftists out and saying we're better than them intrinsically. And it's wild, and it rubs people the wrong way. There's a point in my article that talked about political correctness, and to quote myself, our most recent trend in politics and culture in the West is to value saying the politically correct thing everywhere above everything. Do no harm to another's feelings has been an extension of the Hippocratic Oath taken by all the self-proclaimed psychologists to force everyone to smile while their ability to pursue prosperity is being suffocated. So we all want, the normie population, we all want our politicians to make us feel good while the world is burning up around us. And Javier Milei is one of these politicians that essentially is saying, like, what he's being incriminated for: don't save your money in the peso. Don't trust the government. I'm going to help you dismantle the government. And it's a situation where if we have more politicians like that, we may have more and a better idea of what the world is truly like. But as long as the politicians who control the propaganda, control the megaphone, continue to say all is well, people who are working 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, they don't have time to sit and read and say, well, let me verify what you're saying. A lot of them, they need to trust those people. And if there's any politician that you kind of need to trust right now, all relatively speaking, we don't trust, we verify Bitcoiners. But Javier Milei is the closest thing to a politician that we can trust. And if he goes about what he intends to do, I think it's going to create a wave, almost like a popcorn effect of political movements all over the world that are successful political movements, not the libertarian that says, we're going to vote for a guy who gets 1% of the vote, and just to show that we don't trust anything. We're potentially looking at possibilities where libertarians and people who don't agree in false money and fake money, that they do win out on popular votes. They do place themselves in positions of power, and they use that power not to enrich themselves, but they say, with this great power in my hand right now, I'm going to essentially cast it into hell, and for people to never to use again, or if they want to use it, they're going to have to spend years building it back up. And that's the kind of thing, a world in which Bitcoin can prosper when you don't have these forces pushing against Bitcoin, pushing against good, honest economic value creation. This is so important. So I think that the stuff that's happening in Argentina is some of the most important things in the world. And I understand that there's a war going on. There's two wars going on right now. One is taking precedent over another because the other one is kind of old news. But things that are happening in Argentina in the next couple of weeks, it's something that we need to be paying attention to. And I was looking at the polls that came out on October 2nd in Argentina, and his distance that he has above the conservative and the liberal candidate has tightened to the point where he's a weak plurality leader. So it's going to come to a runoff. And if somehow through the inner workings of democracy were to work against him, he could potentially lose a runoff, which would be unfortunate. But these are the kind of things we have to watch for. We have to watch for, and we have to pay attention to as Bitcoiners, as libertarians, as people who want to stop central banking. Is so vital for our history worldwide, in my opinion.
100%. I think you hit the nail on the head, Sir Ulric. I think that this movement is just beginning. I think it's going to spread like wildfire, right? Questioning the status quo, like seeking an alternative. And we have to remember why, someone who, in terms of we talk about the concept of the Overton window a lot on this show, right? The idea, the things that this guy is saying is so completely, in a way you can call radical. Of course, we're Bitcoiners, we're Austrian economists, we believe in sound money. So for us, it's just like, duh. But if you would have had this conversation 5-10 years ago, you've been like, this guy's a madman. But they got pushed so much. This is a country that has endured they've endured hyperinflation multiple times. This is a country that has been bailed out by the IMF multiple times. Listen, there's a reason El Salvador elected Nayib Bukele. There's a reason El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender. They endured a 30-year war. They were sick and tired of the status quo. People wanted change. And look how much the established order resisted that change, which told me that it was over the target. And everything that they projected onto Nayib Bukele, they were guilty of themselves. And it turned out to be total bullshit. And they went to Argentina and they said, Argentina, listen, we're going to give you a bailout. This is before hyperinflation, by the way. We're going to give you a bailout, but you have to de-incentivize the adoption of Bitcoin. They said that if El Salvador adopted Bitcoin, it was going to be the end of El Salvador. That's what they said. The exact opposite of what they said was going to happen happened. They were wrong. The IMF was wrong. They were wrong about Argentina. They were wrong about El Salvador. So it takes common sense. And I think people are waking up. I think, Sir Ulric, you hit the nail on the head. If this guy gets elected, and I think he has a really good shot at getting elected, it's going to prove to the world that, holy cow, there's an alternative way. And that alternative way is better than the way that we're being force-fed, because we've been told, guys, it's this way. It's this way or the highway. Central banking is necessary. Fiat money is necessary. Inflation is a fact of life. Without it, the world is going to spontaneously catch on fire and the oceans are going to boil, right? That's why there's doing everything and anything, lawfare, changing the rules, changing the laws, to stop this guy from getting into power, because the moment he gets into power, there's no amount of spin, representation, or propaganda that will be able to hide the undeniable fact that what the guy was saying was true. And that's exactly what happened in El Salvador. And now they're pushed into a fucking corner and they don't know what to do. El Salvador paid back the debt that they owed. El Salvador's economy is booming. He's the most popular president in all of the Americas, and crime is down to a record low. El Salvador is safer than a lot of large American cities. And American politicians, the one that accused Nayib Bukele of corruption, got charged with motherfucking corruption. They found fucking gold bars in his trunk. Like, come on, you can't write this shit if you wanted to. So yeah, we're breaking free. Freedom is on the fucking rise. It's amazing to see. We're gonna beat these monetary demons, the unproductive class. And Bitcoin is our tool. Bitcoin is our weapon. Bitcoin is our life raft for freedom and salvation, man. So yeah, dude, you really got me riled up, Sorrow. You gotta come on the show more often, buddy.
Hold on. Here's some sound effects for Ulric and Nico.
That's cool, motherfucking boy.
Okay, so Opti, what's your take on this? And we'll hit the memes.
Well, I mean, you guys covered it great. I'm really glad that Ulric kind of touched on the very end of the hard times create strong men meme, because that was one of the things that I kind of took away from your article the most, is that if you ask just the average person to listen to what, I don't know, Malay is saying, or even Bukele is saying, it may seem very just like outside the Overton window. It seems crazy. It seems like, whoa, like, how could we even get there? Like, how is this even a viable solution to the problem? And then when you really lay out the problem like you did throughout the article, it's like, this isn't like an extreme thing. It's just the inevitable next step. And it's literally like, goes from A, B, C to Z. And it's not as extreme as it sounds. And if you haven't been put in a position like these countries have, then you really don't understand what it will take to actually turn their country around. And you know, there's a quote you did, Ulric, that was something like, you don't need a philosopher king or, you know, a stoic leader to see that these are the solutions. This is just the pragmatic outcome of your currency being hyperinflated, you being under the boot of the IMF, and it's really just it's a pragmatic solution to the problem. It is find a better currency, get on the Bitcoin standard, find solutions to the financial problems that your world is having, and basically get off of that heroin drip of debt coming from the world banks. And it might sound crazy. I know he's got some crazy sound bites out there, but it seems like the Argentinians are really following what he's saying. He's tapped into the zeitgeist of the popular consciousness. And, you know, if things do get worse, it's going to get, I think, a lot crazier, and people are going to be very blindsided with what's to come. And hopefully it doesn't get as crazy as it can. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. I believe the elections are on the 22nd. So we'll see. This is the first round. We'll see what happens. And also, Ulric, I really like how you said, you know, this is, in my opinion, also one of the most important things to be going on in the world. I think the wars are a distraction, and it's always about distracting away from the money. They don't want you to get down the trail of the money. And now we have two wars on the money. One where another country is trying to usher in the Bitcoin standard. And then, you know, the opposite, which is the US wondering what the hell is going on with their world reserve currency status. And you can add BRICS in that. It's all about the money, guys. It's all about the control of the money. And we're seeing that this is happening in real time. So don't get distracted out there. Go back to the money.
Go back. It just comes down to the money, man. That's literally what it is. Awesome. Well, Ulric, thank you so much for coming on to the culture. Drop in your hot fire, guys. Check out the article in the video description. You could also check it out on Simply Bitcoin Substack, and check out Ulric's Twitter, because he's dropping some hot articles, everywhere. He's sprinkling them all over the place. So definitely follow this man. Consider him a dear friend, and also the Michael Jordan of Bitcoin, because he's got some skills. All right, everybody, let's hit the meme review. Let's do it.
The Daily Meme Review.
All right, boys and girls, mainly boys, but some girls. This is the meme review, where you guys send us memes. Tag me on Twitter at simplybitcointv or at Optimus Fields. don't just tag your own memes, tag your favorite memers, and I will bring them on the show. Of course, also drop them in our Telegram group, t.me/simplybitcointv. I look for memes in there every morning. Anyways, tweets of the bullets, memes of the artillery. You are in an information war. If anything has become clear to you throughout this year of watching this show, it should be that you are in an information war. You are the frontline soldiers. I've said it before in the past. It might have seemed hyperbolic, but World War III is an information war, guys, and they are bombarding you with noise so that you forget the signal. So get the calls of action out there. Ridicule the corporate press. Make some funnies to make your friends laugh. Make sure you are spreading that Bitcoin signal. Anyways, first meme is by @MitchellHoddle, and I absolutely love this one. This one's hilarious. And he goes, breaking, Cointelegraph social media intern headshot leaked, and it's CZ with like the nose and mustache glasses on it.
Wait a second. Is that the intern? Is that the intern at Cointelegraph? It looks like the intern at Cointelegraph.
I can't tell. Was CZ the intern? I mean, what's going on?
That actual picture of him though, he's like smirking, like he's doing something like this, like the real one. He's like it is awfully suspicious. I gotta say, it's awfully suspicious.
Oh man! All right,
like we've used that one in thumbnails, and it's just great. Like it's the best. It's the best facial expression. Anyways,
awesome. Next one is by Steven Lubka. I don't know what your ad is. Does Zambala Hodl, I forget what that is. He goes, BRB flying to quality, and we have I forget what the movie is, Captain whatever, where the
Captain Phillips.
Yeah, the Somali pirates like, look, I am the captain now. Well, look, Bitcoin, look at me. I am the flight to quality now. I am the risk off asset. Oh my goodness. It's almost like we've been saying this for a while. All right. Next one is by Ropium, and he goes, the American economy is doing extremely well, quoting Secretary Janet Yellen. And we got Janet Yellen here and looking at the national debt close to $34 trillion. Man, it's almost like it's a healthy economy. It's almost like this is the best economy in the world. It's almost, I'm not even going to say it. It's almost like it's working, guys. It's almost like it's working by design. All right, next one. It's by BTC Therapist. I'm pretty sure this is an old one, but it's fitting for today. And he goes, couldn't have done it without you. #BTC. And it goes, the Bitcoin marketing team. And we got Janet Yellen, Augustus Carson. We have Elizabeth Warren. We have Chrissy Lagarde, Jerome Powell, my favorite politician, Brad Sherman. We have what's his name? Wow, how am I blanking on it? Jamie Dimon, Klaus Schwab, and Gary Gensler. These are the Bitcoin marketing team. The more they push against Bitcoin, the more people will wake up to why they need Bitcoin. And they're doing a better job than any of us marketers in Bitcoin have ever done, because the more they push for a tyrannical dystopian future,
do you have like three? You have like 3 X's on that picture,
dude. Bro. It's a bingo card. I got some work to do.
You got Augustin yellow.
All right, that's enough. Okay, next.
You got to complete the cycle, bro. Like Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell is the top of the pyramid, bro.
You nasty dog. Okay, next meme is by Nico Sapo BTC, aka @Nico_Sapo, and he goes, this is how close humanity is to understanding that their governments are organized criminals. They're this close, so close, yet so far. I'm sure it'll take a lot. Anyways, next one is Greg Zaj1, and he goes, all these Bitcoiners got a taste of what the bull market tastes like, and now everyone's begging for another hit. Please, sir, more pimp. Please, sir, more God candles. Please, mi familia. Welcome to what a bull run is going to feel like. You hodl for years. You get called an idiot and insane. You're broke for, what, 3 years, 10 months, and a few weeks, and then it pumps for 12 weeks, and you're a genius. It's coming soon, I'm telling you. Okay, next one is by Coinfather, aka @Mr. Awesome OB, and he goes, sorry, no spot Bitcoin ETF approval. Happy Halloween, Gary Gollum. And we got Gary Genzer here as Gollum from The Lord of the Rings.
Malaka.
All right, guys, drop your meme review score on the other side of Nico as we cover ours.
Oh, man. Guys, if you want to help support the show, the number one thing you could do, not only share this content, but please buy our merch. You can scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you directly to the Simply Bitcoin merch shop. And Ulric, we gotta send you some merch, bro. Fuck, we gotta send you merch, brother.
If I don't get that damn
We're
hat,
gonna get the hat. Oh, Nico, why
I
did you
cut all my
send
hair
it?
off, so I'm wearing hats
Okay,
now, man.
you know
Come
what?
on.
I'm sending you this one. I think that's what we gotta do. Sophie.
Sophie!
I'm going to cry. If you send me that one, I'm literally.
I'm gonna send you this hat. It's literally the last one I have, but I'm gonna send it to you.
I'm sending you my address right after this.
I'm not a hat person, so I'm gonna send
All
you
right,
this
well,
one.
everyone out
You're busy
there,
showing that BTC sessions like road thing, man. You need to.
I don't
cut
look
that
good
off.
with a hat, bro. Like you know.
you look like a
Looks
you look
nice.
like a
Kinda thuggish.
gangster, bro.
Yeah, I didn't want to say a little.
You look
thuggish.
like TK actually though. Shout out to Toxicat.
So it's like,
Guys
yo,
used to stuff me
I'm
in my
Nico.
locker
Like,
back in high
I
school.
don't think so, dude. I got my hair, like it's cool. Like
All right, well, to everyone out there that isn't an influencer like Sir Ulric, we will get you guys some hats. We'll make sure the hats are printed. I get it. We'll get you the hats.
But in the meantime,
wine. We need to get the hats going.
In the meantime, buy our merch, or our wine is gonna whip us. Metaphorically.
Pause.
Okay. Anyways, what's my score is Yellow wearing the Simply Bitcoin hat.
Yellow gets to wear it before me. Jelly.
Stop believing. Huddle to that feeling.
See? There you go.
Okay.
That's my meme score.
All right, my meme review score is I'm still at my dad's office, so I'm grabbing things off his desk, and it is some Scotch tape.
Okay. Are we sponsored by them?
No, this is just tape. Sorry, not.
Wow,
Okay.
can I get
not-
some of that Scotch money, man?
Could
Not
we do an ad?
Wait, it's tape. It's tape. No, we
There
don't
we
do free
go.
ads.
There
We
we
don't do
go.
free
There
ads.
we go. You got the message. All right, some tape. Okay. And Sir Ulric, what is your meme score?
You know, I like to share. I'm a point guard, so I'm going to go ahead and share my trophy from the Pacific Bitcoin 3-on-3 championship. I won't share my my Sats reward for that, but I will definitely share the trophy. So you guys are all winners in my book, because I for sure as hell can't meme to save my life. So keep on representing that side of Bitcoin Twitter. Yeah,
You can't meme, but you could sure play basketball. Anyways, money. All right. Well, guys, it's that time in the show where you drop the score in the chat and we'll review it. Remember, guys, we ran out of time yesterday because you didn't drop your scores quick enough.
I think we gave him enough delay today. I think we gave him enough.
So, Opti, it's time for the epic music. All right, Seiko05 says his score is one nerd miner from yesterday's show. Okay, if you know, you know. Phil C, I give the memes a block party the day Janet Yellen resigns. Bitcoin for Canadians, I give the memes feelings of being a genius for all Bitcoiners very soon. Moon rocket ship.
It will happen to you too.
Phil Russo, I give the memes Max and Stacy visiting Malay after his victory. Bitcoin Beacon 77, my score is the book, quote, Proof of Money. Very nice.
Terrence.
Very, very nice. Mr. Link 129, Opti's love for Lagarde.
That's uncalled for.
All right, that's the buzzer. All right, that's the buzzer. Shot clock violation. We're gonna have to take Ulric out of the game. All right, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I had to make a bad dad basketball joke. Okay, I'm becoming a dad, and the dad jokes are coming. I'm preparing. I'm preparing for them. Anyways, Opti is out of the game. Technical foul. It's fun. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. All right, everybody. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to smash that like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But the number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution is share all Bitcoin content. Don't be exclusive. Be inclusive. Through your favorite Bitcoin content creator. Share his content. Whatever floats your boat. And that's how we're going to get the orange signal out there. Also, check out our awesome guest, Sir Ulric. We have his article in the video description. Sir Ulric, thank you so much for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. Why don't you tell everybody where they could find you on the interwebs and what you're working on these days?
Thank you, Nico. Thank you, Opti. Got a lot of stuff doing, whether it's the Declaration of Monetary Independence, trying to go multiple different conferences, Belt of Truth Substack, intersection of Christianity and Bitcoin ethics, sirulric.com, my website where all my podcasts and writing appearances and writing publications I need to update that. Bitcoin Ballers, me and Q talking about nothing but basketball, but with Bitcoiners. It's a great thing. And continuing to write and continue to see all you guys out there at events. And I love you all. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming, man. You're a friend of the show. You're always welcome, and you always bring that hot fire. Thank you, Ulric. Thank you so much for joining us on Simply Bitcoin Live. All right, guys, you know the deal. If you want to join the Twitter Spaces, hopefully Sir Ulric could join us. We're going to be hosting a Twitter Space until 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with our friends over at Swan Bitcoin, best place to build your Bitcoin stack. Shout out to the best producer in the game, producer Jacob. So, you could join us on Twitter Spaces and hang out. Opti's going to be holding it down for another 10 minutes or so. So it's going to be a short Twitter Spaces today. But feel free to jump in there and just hang around, ask your questions. Maybe Sir Ulric makes a celebrity appearance. But until then, guys, we'll see you tomorrow, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Peace out, y'all.
I guess we ran very long on today's show. Sometimes we got to give you that sauce, rewarding all you guys on YouTube, all our subscribers out there. So we'll go long. If you guys like it long, we'll pause. Wait, hold on. Pause.